All right, we are on air. This is the design check-in meeting for Backdrop CMS. This is a place where we get to talk about the design tasks that we have ongoing for Backdrop, which is a content management system, particularly intended for non-profits and small to medium-sized businesses, or companies that have a particular concern about the ongoing costs of supporting websites. So we're going to just talk through a couple of the things that we're working on and try and adjust any questions or concerns around those too. Important to talk about first is our intended audience for Backdrop. And short term, our audience is particularly people who have been using the Drupal content management system and are concerned about how much it's going to cost to take their Drupal 7 site or even a Drupal 6 site into Drupal 8, because the migration process is going to be fairly extensive. So short term, our goal is to make it as easy as possible for those people to move on to Backdrop, so creating a clear migration path and making the system very familiar to them. And longer term, our goal is to take this Drupal system that we're starting with, Backdrop is a fork of Drupal, and improve the user experience considerably so that it will be able to compete with products like WordPress and Squarespace. So we're going to be taking the product as it is now and moving it down market. In order to do that, we have to make a better user interface. It has to look slicker. It has to be easier for people to design. So it's really important that we focus on design, usability, and interfaces in Backdrop so that we can target that second audience. So in terms of our overview of what we're going to talk about, first and most important is probably the human interface guidelines, which is something that Gautam, you've been working on a lot. I don't know if you've made any progress in the last 2 weeks and want to give us an update, or if you just want to do kind of a general overview of why human interface guidelines are important and why you're committed to working on them.
Yeah, sure. So yes, both are there. So I have actually given in our last design hangout that I have proposed why we need, human interface guidelines, and I have just presented the slides, and it is already in your documents. And we have decided to work in our own workspace in GitHub, so that we can check and finally, when we decide, we can put it into the Backdrop Ops, which is a place for all the documents and other stuffs for Backdrop. So yes, okay. I have already done, and yes, at least the first version is up in GitHub, so you can check the URL. So let me give you the URL.
Great.
So, yeah.
Can you post a link to that in the Google Hangout?
Yeah, sure. I'm just giving you the URL in chat box. So yeah. So this is URL, and I have already also commented in the issue itself. So for the first part, so issue number 390. So I have already commented. The first version has been pushed into the GitHub pages, so anybody can view it, comment it, and so that's it.
Wow. So I had a busy week last week with Badcamp, and I haven't been paying any attention to what's happened with Backdrop. I am so excited to see this. I can't wait to read through. This is amazing. Thank you so much for all of your work on this so far.
Yeah, so not much done. So basic framework, and because I was I was dealing with Jekyll first time, so it took a lot of time for me to go through the Jekyll and all these things in for GitHub. So the few are the menus. So two prior things, basic things have been done. So if you go to the left-hand menu, so I know there are a few link issues in the home page, but the side menu is working perfectly. So if you go to the overview of the design essentials, so basic, why we need Backdrop design, what are the Backdrop design essential, what should be the design vision, and what are the guiding principles for HID that I have documented. And obviously this is a draft and it is ready to review. So if so please, I'm expecting comments from the Backdrop community. So yeah, I'm ready to accept. And apart from that, there are another page what I have already done, that is overview of the UI and UX patterns. So what are the UI and UX patterns for Backdrops and why it is needed, how we should categorize. So I have chalked down that, and I have also provided a sample what exactly for under user input and capture sections. So what are the templates for all the UI and UX elements, UX input, so how we are categorizing. So that is there. So we can just start now on putting contents and all these things. So interface elements is due. So hopefully by next design hangout, I will be able to put more contents into it.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for getting started on this. I can't wait to read through it. One thing I think might help you is have you looked at our style guide? So I was just thinking this might be a good place for you to pull a list of all of the current interface patterns that we have. I think that establishing this in a separate location will give us the ability to, you know, notice things that maybe shouldn't be there or things that should be and need to be added. But just for like a kind of a comprehensive list of everything that we're currently working on, or everything that's already included in Backdrop. We may not be working on some of them, but maybe we need to. This might be a good place to just kind of look at these elements and figure out things like vertical tabs and drop buttons and make sure that those all get added to that list as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Great. And then another thing, too, is I'm not sure where you want help with this. Like, this might be the kind of thing that we could have some other people just stub out all of these pages, like add all the items and kind of, I don't know, help let you do kind of the thinking behind them if they could help do some of the work. That might be something that we could get some help for you on.
Yeah. So my next target is to create all the pages. Like so under UX and UI patterns and the interface elements, as well as all the under the design elements, there are two major things I need to update. So if we can at least come up, for my next target is to come up with all the TOC and the menu sections with all the DVD sections, so we can have guideline here, and then we can come up putting contents and all these things.
Okay.
So that's the idea from my side.
This is great. Okay. Well, why don't I just let you keep going because you seem to be on a roll, and when you get to a point where you're like, you know, I want someone else to work on X, just let us know, and then we can go ahead and find people to work on those things for you.
Okay, sure, absolutely. I mean, so it's up to you guys now. So when you think that you can migrate from this repo to your backups repo, so and we can have our central repo, and then anybody can fork the normal GitHub way. So everything is set up. So Jekyll is working fine. So anybody can, I mean, have, get the source code as well as all the branch. Everything is in GitHub, so it's open.
Okay.
So anybody can fork and contribute. So the same thing for Backdrop.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'd be happy to move it into Backdrop Ops now if you were comfortable with that. I just want to make sure that you know. Okay. Well,
I'm absolutely okay.
And then I'll make sure that you have the ability to add whoever you need as well. But it looks really good.
So from the design agenda. So I was so interested, keen to work on few other issues, but haven't got much time to work on. So hopefully I'll be able to manage my time and work on other issues. So let's see how it goes. Because I'm very much interested in the for the admin team as well, at least to propose something for the community to see.
Sure. We would love to hear your proposals. I did. Let's see. Let's go back to the agenda. I don't want to jump too far ahead. Okay. So brand guidelines. So I don't know that we have anyone working on brand guidelines yet, but we did. The guy who started our original branding, his name is Darius. He helped us set up the logo, choose the font, and some basic colors. He does have some availability coming up in the near future, and I have reached out to him and asked him if he was interested in helping us set up. So this is for Backdrop, the website, not necessarily Backdrop, the product. But the two are very related. So I asked him if he would have some time to help us with our new admin theme, and he said maybe. So that might be useful to have him working on that, as well as our new sites front-end theme. So there's a potential in getting him involved again, which would be good. And he would also be a really good person to help us set up those brand guidelines, so I'm looking forward to that. But we've also reached out to Anna, who helped us design our dragon, which we'll get to at the end of this meeting, which I think is super exciting, and asked her if she would also be willing to start on our new branding of the backdropcms.org site. And I think that as soon as we can start moving forward on these things, like these are the kinds of people that can help us establish the guidelines while they're establishing the brand. And because we don't really have a brand now, I think it's, we need to come up with the guidelines and the brand kind of at the same time, because if we do one without the other, then, we might get one of them wrong. So I think that all those things are moving forward, which is really exciting, and we should have them here in the next month or so, which hopefully should coincide with the release of Backdrop. So that seems really, really good to me. So let's see. Back to design tasks. This is specifically for Backdrop CMS, the product now. The first item we have here is updating the administration theme, which is something that you just talked about, Gautam. And we originally had a very nice lady named Julia volunteer to build us a style guide, which would just apply things like our fonts to the admin theme as it is now, and see if we could get a kind of a completely different feel for administration just by changing something that was really simple. So there's not that much work on our side, but it would have a big impact. Unfortunately, she's gotten really busy with real work. They've had a huge rush at her company, and she doesn't seem to have any time right now, and we all know how that goes. And so I was at BADCamp last week talking to a bunch of new people, and there was someone in particular who said, I have a bunch of design skills. I wish there was a way that I could contribute to Backdrop. And in the back of my head, I thought, gee, I wish I had updated that page on the website so it was clear that we need designers to contribute, which I will do, and I'll try and get to that today. But then in the front of that mind, I said, wait, we need you. And I was able to reach out to him and ask him if he would take over working on the style guide. And that seemed like something he was super interested in. So I think we might be able to get some movement on that here in the next few weeks too. So Gautam, if you have suggestions about what you want to see happen in the theme, definitely go ahead and post them. I think we have an issue for the style guide as well as general admin theme stuff. Post them there because it would be good to get that feedback going soon. Even if you can't give any examples or write any code, if you can just write down your ideas, I think that's what's most important. Sure. And then
definitely.
We can get him moving on the style guide, and hopefully that'll kind of all start coming together with our brand guidelines and everything else at the same time. So I think that could be really good for us as well.
Yeah, sure.
Associated with the style guide, we have the back-end theme, the installer, which we've already updated to look like a Backdrop and not like Drupal, might also need a little update just to match, and I'm not sure how much of that will be specific to the installer, and some of it will just carry over from the rest of the admin theme, but we should give it a good look and make sure that it adheres to our new style guide as well. And then we also have, in the last design meeting, we talked about putting a new front-end theme on Backdrop. We've got Bartik in there. Nobody actually uses Bartik in the real world. I would love to see a new front-end theme. I think it is less important than some of the other things that we need to get done before launch. So I would like to push that to like a 1.1 or 1.2 so that we can get things like layouts, having a good interface on them before we have to worry about building things with layouts. And I also think that it's the kind of thing that we can add later because it won't be an API change, it'll be an API addition. So I put it on the list here because I don't want us to not think about it because I think it would be super killer to get a new front-end theme in there. But it is definitely not super urgent either. And then we have some other things. Backdropcms.org, the website, needs a new design, and we talked to Anna about getting going on that. It also is going to need a new theme based on that new design. We don't have anyone who has volunteered to do that recently, but John volunteered maybe 6 months ago to work on a front-end theme back before we had any plans for a new front-end design. So I think it might be good to touch base with him and see if he's still available to work on that. 6 months is a long time, a lot of things can happen. But if anyone else is watching this hangout and wants to contribute a theme, that's something we're definitely interested in doing. So go ahead and give us a holler. And then in addition to backdropcms.org website, we also have our API site, which will need to use the same theme, but it might need to be adapted because the API site works really differently than how the regular website does. It's got, it's displaying mostly code, and so we might need to do a little cleanup on the general theme to make it work there for that. And then we've got a bunch of stuff that's not related to web at all. We've got print and other collateral that might need design. The first thing is stickers. We have a couple of different stickers. Hold on, I've got some. We have a couple of stickers we've already designed. The first ones we had printed is just our logo in this square with a little backdrop punch out done. We were thinking about getting these done in a second printing that didn't have the white borders, so it would just be the black square. So that needs to get designed and ordered. And then we have our long skinny ones with the whole name backdrop and the logo on them, which I think actually look great. They're good quality sticker and they came out. So I think those are done. What I would like to do is get new stickers made with our dragon on them, which we'll talk about here in a little bit too. So if someone wants to run with our dragons, that's a new option. We have talked about having a postcard or a brochure or a business card or something that we can hand out to people at conferences to help them find out more about Backdrop that would send them to the website. And we originally created a little business card that just had a temporary logo and it just said backdropcms.org. But I found that that wasn't terribly convincing for people who didn't really know what it was and didn't really know why they should care. And it would be nice if we could get something a little nicer that had some message that's like, this is why Backdrop is important to you on it. Yeah. And some of that brand messaging we're also going to need in the redesign of our new site. We also need to put that on our homepage so that people who come to our homepage understand why Backdrop is important. So it would be good to tie some of these things together. And take the branding from our website, the language, and put it into this asset as well. So I think it would be good to create something like that. And then I also thought it would be really nice to put together a slide deck, maybe not necessarily for content, but some kind of template that people could use to present on Backdrop anywhere, whether they're presenting about what is Backdrop or something you're doing with Backdrop. I thought it would be good to have something with our branding and messaging in that as well. And then fun, later stuff, if we wanted to create t-shirts or hoodies for Backdrop, we've got a great dragon now, and I think that might be fun. So not urgent. We need to find a way to get them to people, but I think that could be fun. So if you guys are following along in our agenda, I posted the picture of Drop, our dragon. It took us a long time to get him. We went through, I don't know, maybe 5 iterations of, we don't like the paws. Can you change the paws? We don't like the horn. Can you move the horn? We like the eyeball. Could you move it to the left? And we finally got what I think is a really great version of Drop. I wonder if I can put him in this video. Let's see. I could do a screen share, maybe. Okay, I'm going to try this. Whoa. All right, so here's the Drop. Can you guys see Drop?
Yeah.
Make him bigger.
It's visible. Yeah.
Visible. So he's a dragon. We talked a lot about needing some kind of mascot. The Drupal community has the Drupalcon, which is a little tiny water droplet with a cute smiley face on it, much like the Kool-Aid guy. And the reason that was such a huge success for the Drupal community is because every camp and conference was able to take this icon and manipulate it and add a little bit of their own local flavor and personality. And I felt like that added a lot to the community for Drupal. And I wanted Backdrop to have the same kind of thing. So what we did here is we created a open source dragon, and we're going to release all of the graphic files that was used to create him. And we're going to post it on our website, and anyone who wants to do anything with Backdrop can also do whatever they want with the dragon. So if they want to create a product, they can use dragon in the product. If they want to create a camp or have a meetup or print a t-shirt, whatever it is they want, they'll be able to do the same thing here with our little dragon. So his name is Dragon because we thought it would be funny to have a dragon drop. Let's see if I can turn off this again. Screen share. There we go. And we thought it would also be really fun for the Drupal community to be able to kind of poke fun at us and say, oh, there be dragons, and point at Backdrop. And it just seemed like there were so many fun little nuances that people could have with dragons that it was perfect. We could name it Drop, and it would be a little homage to our history with Drupal being originally released on drop.org. And yeah, lots of good things about it. So anyone has any ideas, please feel free to run with it, because the dragon belongs to everyone. So that was my exciting nice announcement for today, was our dragon. He's so cute. He's technically supposed to be a lap dragon, like the kind of dragon that you want to snuggle with. So he's dangerous, but he's also like cuddly, and people shouldn't be afraid of Backdrop. Was the general impression. So that's the end of everything I have in our agenda for today. I didn't know if Gautam, you had any questions, or if there's anything else that we should bring up to talk about in today's meeting.
Yeah, only one observation, that what I found on Style Guide, that Style Guide is fine. All the elements are out there. I mean, it's obviously, it's there. But what I found is there are a few pages. I mean, menus are out there in the top. But if you try to access the menu, the internal pages are not there. So we are getting 404. So
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So whether, whether it's good or bad at this moment, but maybe if we really want to test our Style Guide out there, so maybe we need all the internal pages as well.
Okay, so I think that it's just supposed to be a single page, and what might be good is if we were able to update the link so that they didn't actually link anywhere that was a page not found, which is either link them back to the same page or to like pound symbol or something like that. But yeah, that's a good point. It shouldn't be broken no matter what. Okay.
Okay, more or less that's, and I said my next goal for HIG, and as much as I can contribute in other parts of these design issues. So let's see how it can go.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for watching. And I can see there's people watching the video right now. We definitely need designers, and I will do my best to update the documentation on Backdrop's primary website to make that clear as well. And we will talk again in 2 weeks. I think this time works pretty well. And I'll give everyone an update in the regular meeting in half an hour as to what we talked about here. So, thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you very much.